Kia ora, and welcome to Aotearoa's Opportunity, a podcast where we talk about fair pay agreements and how they can help us tackle some of Aotearoa's most urgent issues.
In this podcast, everyday workers will be sharing their stories about the issues that they deal with in their industries and how we can discuss solutions that FBAs will have to offer.
So, no mai, haere mai, and welcome to Aotearoa's Opportunity.
A real volatile site we have here in Wellington. I won't name it, but it's an apartment building anyway, 10 stories, 115 apartments, and it was well known for P labs, gang members. It was a really bad site. The union ones that we managed to get for this particular site was stab proof vests. We had security guards getting stabbed, getting beaten up, getting all sorts of things happening to them on this one site. And so I definitely fought for the site, and not only has it increased in its health and safety, but it has also in its pay, huge improvement to the pay that they pay for guards on their site now. So.
In this episode, we'll be talking about the security industry and the fair pay agreement that has been initiated for security guards. Security guards often face poor wages and poor job security. Security is an industry that's beset by problems with undercutting, and it's been really difficult to deal with issues relating to health and safety in that industry. The Fair Pay Agreement is a mechanism that we'll try and use to resolve these issues. To learn more about the problems that exist within the security industry, we're now going to be having a conversation with Jayson Ormsby, a Union Organiser from Aotearoa with 5 years experience in the security industry as a security guard and as a manager of operations. Thanks for joining us, Jayson.
Kia ora. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. To start, would you be able to tell us a little about how you first got involved in the security industry and what was the experience like for you?
Yeah, of course. I was actually transitioning, it was 2016, I was transitioning out of the hospo industry after being in there for many years. I wanted a bit of a change originally, and actually security wasn't the first option. I was actually looking to do HT work with work and income at the time. They were allowing for people that were transitioning through work to get that, and I was on sort of, wanting to jump on the course, and what actually happened is they were full, so they said the only course we have is a security course. So I was like, okay, how long does that go for? And they said it was 8 weeks, and I said, look, yeah, chuck me on, let's do it. So that's how I was able to do. Got into security, did an 8 week course with HLC, and learnt, pretty much the foundations of security from patrols to static. Through them, I was able to also be employed by the company that I worked for 5 years, and then go up the ranks through them. I was only a security guard for 6 months before I was made a operations supervisor, looking after a $26 million contract, work and income, Ministry of Social Development. And that's where sort of my whole security path started.
Cool. And do you like working in security? It was a good place to be?
I did. I actually enjoyed working the service for others, the helping the elderly lady just to carry her groceries, the migrant family that need directions, or just generally helping people, and something that I was brought up very strong for my family and values. And we know the security industry doesn't pay well, so you have to sort of take some sort of shining light from that. So yeah.
No, I think that's really interesting, because a lot of people wouldn't think of security as like service. You think of it as, standing out the front of something, or maybe hassling skateboarding kids in the park or something like that.
Yes.
But yeah, so you're saying there's a lot more service to it than people appreciate.
Oh, huge. There's so much to security that most people don't realise, like even the many hats that they wear. Like people just think, okay, look, you're a security guard, you only to know sort of, open the door for someone, or if there's an incident happening, to report it and call the police. But there's a lot more. There's fire wardens, there's first aid involved, there's the intricacies of verbal and physical abuse that happens on some of these sites as well. So
and that's pretty terrifying, like when you're the front person at the doors, and there's a lot of people in the world that are going through their own stuff, and insecurity often becomes almost a counsellor or a punching bag, depending on the person.
I agree. And obviously we all know, COVID, that was probably the toughest time for a lot of us security guards, being on the front line, and everyone all going through the unknown of this pandemic. And it's like, we all just trying to keep people safe and keep, aisles and supermarkets, flowing. But, you get customers that just abuse you for, not having a trolley there, or something little like that. Yeah.
And what was it like during the COVID time? Because you all of a sudden found out you're an essential worker. Had that been something you'd thought about of yourself? Did you think of yourself as an essential worker before COVID came along?
To be honest, I know security is I've always felt like it's very important. But when they said, you're essential workers, you still need to go to work. Having elderly parents that live with me, and both medical conditions as well, I did struggle a little bit to sort of be like, well, I need to work to provide for my family, but then I have to be careful because I'm out being exposed as well. But the sites that I worked at, I could see that they needed security for these sites. They were very volatile sites at the same time, and there was a lot of trouble happening throughout COVID as well that most people didn't see.
Yeah, and I think COVID was such an interesting time for that, because it really showed what are the essentials, who needs to keep coming back to work. It wasn't necessarily even politicians and executives. No. You guys at the front line.
Yes.
Yeah, what did your family think of it at that time when you're going out and doing security?
Yeah, of course.
Uncertainty?
They were worried, of course. They made sure that every night when I come back from my shift, Mum would be there to give me your uniform and I'll wash it, and just making sure that we would, when I got home, everything was sort of clean, sanitized, and so I wouldn't pass that on. But they felt that I was doing an important job and appreciated it. So they were just like, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah.
So given the work is super important, it's essential.
Yeah.
You're looking after everyone. Was the pay any good?
No, mate, and it still isn't today, and this is going back for 2016, so there's sort of, so it needs improvement, huge improvements.
Yeah, so even though when you moved up, because you were talking before, you mentioned you were covering this huge contract and managing other teams of other people.
Yes.
What sort of, did that improve things for your pay, or not so much?
By 50 cents, at the time I think the minimum wage was $17.50. So, not a lot, but a lot of responsibility that was involved with that, and it definitely made my security journey a little bit tougher, but difficult as well. Obviously, being in management and being a security guard in operations. So. Yeah.
How did that make you feel when you're doing training? So you're starting this off, you're doing an 8-week course.
Yes.
You're taking up responsibility, you're managing a team of people, and your pay's not progressing to respect that. What's that like for you,
Yeah, it's a kick in the guts, very disheartening. I think because you want to do the best that you can and make sure that, it's your self-worth and value is also respected. But I understand this is the business models that these companies have, and that's why I joined the union, I guess, to sort of help combat that. Yeah.
Cool. So how did you come across the union? Was that
so it was actually my last year of being in, I'd say last year and a half of being in the security industry. So it wasn't until 4.5 years later before I joined the union. And the big push for that is really noticing how management were treating the security guards. I stepped out of the role as a supervisor at that time too for this, and I just became another security guard. And I'm actually used to run into Ibrahim Omar quite frequently, as he was the security organiser for Air 2 at the time. And it just happened that we both were at the same place at the same time. Conversation started, and he said, look, I feel you'd be really great in the union movement. Next thing I know, I'm being invited to a delegates training a couple of months later. Yeah.
Cool. And so when you became a delegate and started to help represent yourself and your colleagues, what sort of things were you able to get many little improvements on site?
Yeah, of course. So at the time, a real volatile site we have here in Wellington, I won't name it, but it's an apartment building anyway, 10 stories, 115 apartments, and it was well known for P labs, gang members. It was a really bad site. And so the union ones that we managed to get for this particular site was stab-proof vests, standing mats, so if they were standing for long periods of time, to relieve the pressure off your feet. Definitely the protection, so the stab-proof vest, because we had security guards getting stabbed, getting beaten up, getting all sorts of things happening to them on this one site. And so I definitely fought for the site, and not only has it increased in its health and safety, but it has also in its pay, huge improvement to the pay that they pay for guards on their site now. So.
And that was just from getting the union and taking up the case.
Yeah, definitely. So I was at the time delegate that was on the bargaining table, and that's where we were definitely fighting that. But the big wins were coming over bargaining.
Cool. Yeah. And so you saw through the union, you're able to improve stuff, but is there problems in the security industry with contracting that undermines and affects your ability to make change?
Huge. Yeah, there's a lot that comes to mind. But yeah, definitely the undercutting of contracts for tenders that contributes to obviously the low wage for workers that is still happening now, and you hear that race to the bottom, and that's what we want to stop. And we definitely feel that fair pay agreements is what we need in the security industry for that. I had the saying, how can we as security guards do security but not have a secured job? And it's something that's speaks volumes.
Yeah. So what's the dream for security? What would you like security to look like?
Yeah, of course. I feel with myself personally, having better health and safety, training and upskilling, obviously, and better wage conditions. So the dream, you could put any dollar on there, but I feel as long as it it increases over time, because I feel that, they'll say $26, they'll put that on there, and then, in 10 years' time, it will still be $26. So it's gradual improvements over time. So that's what I feel is, them always constantly working on the industry and cleaning it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that want to see better pay. I think at the moment there's a real cost of living stuff. They see some people making lots of money, and it's not being spread around, and it's about time. And we're just going to make this work.
Definitely.
Yeah. How's it impacted you personally becoming involved in the union?
Oh, it's definitely empowered. It's empowering. Never been involved in unions before, so it was sort of like, oh, what am I getting myself into? But actually seeing what they do for the workers in low paid jobs, but then as well as the community, it for myself, it definitely was like a switch that just clicked on. Like, why was I never aware of this, or never seen this around? So for me, I definitely get out and try and speak to others that have never heard of unions or even the fair pay agreements, in the security industry. And it's always a really great tool to use to build that solidarity and gain members as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because this whole podcast is about trying to talk to people about fair pay agreements and how
Yes.
they're going to make impacts with people. What do you tell people in your community, like your friends and whānau, about fair pay agreements and how it's going to change things for them?
Yeah, interesting enough, a lot of them, they hear and they see what I've been doing already, and with the members that and leaders that we have, and they ask, so what are fair pay agreements and what is that about? And so, when I explain to them, it's about better work conditions, better pay that reflects the work that they do, the training and upskilling, the development of a security guard to the potential where they can get to, and treating it as security as a professional career, because I think it's looked as a stepping stool between a job to another job and transition, similar to what I had used it for when I first came in. But across the board with family, and friends in the community that talk to, they're very supportive of it. They've, a lot of them actually said, "Oh, it's about time," So getting I guess positive reactions for it and why we need it.
And for you, if you go back a few years ago, what do you think it would have, having a fair pay agreement security, what would have that changed for you when you were working in security?
Better work conditions, better training and upskilling, of course. There's something that is lacking. Myself was chucked in the deep end a lot as a security guard, and seen other security guards doing that, and now it's definitely fallen off within private training establishments at the moment, where they're struggling to even train security, conflict escalation. So if fair pay agreements had been in back then, we would have had a lot more of these, resources, tools. Health and safety is always there, but, better health and safety. I think that's what it is, better health and safety, better training, upskilling, and better work conditions. Obviously, the pay is great as well, and so, but covering those three is very important to me personally. Yeah.
What should a security guard who's listening to this and interested in making things better for them and their mates they work with, what should they do?
Definitely join a union. Definitely join Aotearoa Union. They're either the union for security guards, but I think talking with other colleagues as well, speak to those that are familiar with fair pay agreements on your work sites, or contact your delegates. Definitely, get behind the movement, because that's the only change. That's the only way we're going to get the change across the board. Us as security guards trying to take on these titans of companies is, it's very difficult, and we need the backing, obviously, of the union movement to allow for this. That's what I would say. But yeah, get involved with our, helping other colleagues if they're having a bit of trouble. Look into it. Speak to a union organiser. If you have the skills to represent and advocate for them, then do that, because we need more of them. We definitely need more of them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. Anything else you wanted to say?
No. I think that's it.
Cool.
Lovely. Yeah, it was great.
Down, there's not a lot of it to go around. Is it safe again? Is it safe again? What am I to do when that boss says to me, go down that hole where there's nowhere to breathe? by the flash, and I need a